In this video, we're going to turn our Shopify app from this to this without using or installing Polaris to our Shopify app project. Stay tuned for that. Before we start this video is sponsored by WeeklyHow. Get my Shopify App Development course for only $29.99 using the coupon code WeeklyHow. Now, Polaris. Check the link in the description below to get started. Now, there are a lot of ways for you to design your own Shopify app. Your first option is to use or to write your own CSS style sheets. Your second option is to use Polaris or Bootstrap. And your third option is to use the framework that I just found a few weeks ago, and it's called Uptown CSS. This framework is really great, especially if you're not developing Shopify apps using React. You can use this framework simply by downloading the CSS style sheets from their website, applying it to your Shopify app project, and then use the components or the tags, and voila, you have your own Shopify app that kind of looks like a Shopify app that uses Polaris. Anyway, enough of that, and let's begin, and I'll show you how it's done. So here I am on my Shopify app. Currently, I have the following text: hello, example development store from Shopify.com, the following table, and so on. I have the following images of products, the title, and so on. So I want to customize this. So it's really, really easy, actually. Let's open our Uptown CSS. You can visit this by visiting the URL uptowncss.com. I'll put its link in the lesson description. So first, we need to download the CSS. So just select the download CSS, and then in here we have the following CSS style sheet. But before we copy any of that, let's go to our VS Code and I'll explain to you what's inside of my index.php. So in here I have my require once functions.php. This is the same file that we used in our previous lessons or videos. And I have in here my shop URL, and I'm getting the shop from get variable. I also have access token, which is generated by install.php as well as the token.php. And I don't need to reinstall it, so I just comment that out. And next is the echo statement. I'm displaying the hello and then shop URL. And then I'm also displaying the following table with list down and so on. So in here, I have the following variable, which uses the Shopify call function, passing the access token, shop URL. I'm using the following endpoint. Right now, I'm using the 2021-01, which is the latest version of Shopify API. And of course, I'm using get. And after that, I'm going to use the JSON decode function. And next, I'm using for each. And then for each product, I'm going to display the image as well as the title of the product. And it's really, really simple. That's all I did. So the next thing we're going to do is just to create a new file because I want to move this for each into a separate file. So let's do that. So I'm just going to create a new file. I'm going to call this home.php. And then next, I'm going to copy the for each loop as well as the products as well as the echo statement. Hit Ctrl X and then go to home.php and create a new PHP tag. And then inside of this PHP tag, I'm going to paste the following code like so. Hit save, go back to index.php, and after that, I'm going to use the following function, require once, and I'm going to reference the home.php. And with semicolon and hit save. And the next thing we're going to do actually is to create the HTML skeleton. So I'll just start the exclamation mark. I'll use exclamation mark to generate the skeleton of HTML. I'll change the title to WeeklyHow. You can change the title to whatever title you want. Doesn't really matter. And then next we need to create a CSS file. So I'm going to create a new folder. And I'm going to call this CSS. And then inside of this folder, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call this style.css. And then next, I'm going to open my index.php, and inside of our head tag, I'm going to use the link. Actually, let's open our VS Code, not VS Code, but browser. And in here in Uptown CSS, we're going to copy the following snippet code, go back to VS Code, and then paste the code like so. And then change the value of href to css/style.css. Basically, I'm just referencing the style.css inside of our CSS folder. And hit save. And actually for our style.css, I'm going to copy the code from uptown.css. So Control A, hit Control A and Control C to copy, go back to VS Code and paste the code like so. And then we can just save this and open our index.php. And the next thing we're going to do actually is to move the require once inside of our body. So in here, I'll just create a new PHP tag. And then move the require once function inside of this PHP tag, like so. And then hit save, go back to our app, hit refresh, and that should update our app. Actually, we don't need this anymore. We can just close that, go back to our app, and let's take a look. And there you go. As you can see, everything is now centered. And we can just continue. So let's go back to our VS Code. And the next one we're going to do actually is to add main tag inside of our body. So I'll just type in here main. So it's not actually working. All right, so we need to type that manually. Main, and then make sure they close the main tag. And then inside of this main tag, we can just move the require once. Actually, what else do we need to do? I think we also need to type header and then footer. So in here, we need to create a header tag. And then next is the section. I think we can just actually open Uptown CSS and should be getting started. All right, so main, header, section, and then footer. All right, so next is the section. So close that. And lastly is the footer. So footer, and then close the footer. There you go. And we can just move the require once function inside of our section, like so. And then save that, open our app, hit refresh, and there you go. As you can see, it looks bizarre now. It's not organized. The reason for that is because, yeah, we don't have anything inside of our section. We need to fix that. So in here, we can just use the following grid structure. It's either you use full width, or you can just like columns with 1 and 11 and so on. But I want to use a different layout. So I'll just select layouts, and I'm going to copy the article, the div, and yeah, that's all actually. All right, so let's just go back to our VS Code, and just inside a section, I'm going to create an article tag, article, close that. And then inside of this article, I'm going to create a div tag with a class of card. There you go. And then inside of this div, we can just actually move the require once again. I'm sorry if we kept moving this PHP tag. And then we can try and save this. Let's go back to our app, hit refresh, and this time it should work. And there we go. Now it looks much better. Now, if you don't want to add the header, you can just actually get rid of the header and just get rid of that. Instead, you can just, actually for the footer, we're going to add something in there, but not now. We can just do it later on. And then save it again. Let's go back to our app, hit refresh. And there you go. Now it's much better. It looks much better. All right, so the next one we're going to do is just to use typography. And let's open our home.php. We don't need the index.php anymore. Actually, we do. We're going to open that again later on. But for now, let's just focus on this. So first is the hello shop URL. So I want to use the header tag. So I guess I'll just use the H6 heading. You can just copy this, go back to our VS Code, paste the tag like so, and then I'm going to use PHP tags. I'm going to copy the echo statement, paste it inside of PHP tag. And then next is I'm going to use the alerts. So just select alerts. And then I want to use the warning, notification, which one we can use actually. So I'll just copy the alert warning, copy that, go back to our VS Code, and just paste it after the header 6. You can just indent this properly. This one too. Now for the table title or data title, you can just change this to say for example, readme. And then for the data description, you can just create another PHP tag. And then, actually, let me just fix this, sorry. Then we can just copy the echo statement from our PHP tag. There you go, hit save. Let's open our app again, hit refresh. And there you go, now it looks much better. So let's open our VS Code again and let's try to customize it because I want to separate the table from the header, which is the hello and then the readme. Let's separate that. Let's open our index.php and in here I have the following card, require home, and actually we can just rename this to, instead of home, let's rename that and call it product underscore table. And then instead of home, change this to product underscore table. And then I'm going to create another card. So I'll just duplicate this div and then paste that above like so. And then instead of product table, I'm going to call that header.php. And I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call this header.php. And then inside of the header.php, you can just move the alert as well as the hello store name. Save that, and then save this as well. And then the product table, save that as well. Let's try it. Let's go back to our app, hit refresh. And now it looks much worse. Let's open our uptown.css and let's select cards. Let's select the card with section. So we have in here article, div card has sections. Let's copy this. Let's copy that, go back to VS Code, and it must be inside of index.php. Article, we have the following div. Let's paste that. Let's indent this properly. And then we have the card section. Card has section. We can just, I guess, move the cards inside of our card has section. So let's just copy this. And then it just moved that inside of our card has section. And instead of just card, we're going to use card section. Paste it for the other div as well. And then next, we can just copy the horizontal, paste it between the card section, and then we can just get rid of all of this. And then hit save, go back to our app, hit refresh, and this time it should look much better, I hope. And there you go. Now we have the following hello development store, and then readme, and then the following list of items. All right, so the next one we're going to just to create the table. Let's go back to our Uptown CSS, select tables, and then we can just copy actually this. So let's copy this, go back to VS Code, let's select product table.php and just paste it before the for each. We'll just paste it in here. All right, so the first is we have the table head. We don't need to customize that. And we also have in here the table rows. We can just get rid of the last two table rows. We don't need that. We just need the first table row with the button and with the title as well as the image. All right, next is we need to move the for each or the PHP tag inside of our table body tag. Paste it in there, and then we can just indent all of this properly. And then next, inside of our for each or the second for each, we can just cut or paste the table row. So before we or after we use echo statement, we're going to close the PHP tag and then open it again. And then before we open the PHP tag, just paste the table row like so. And I'm going to indent all of this properly. This one too. And then we can just comment this out. We don't need the echo statement. This one too. All we need is the echo and then the value title, and just replace the sum product with PHP tag, and then echo statement, the value title, and that with semicolon, and then close the PHP tag. All right, next is the image. So we can just get rid of the value for src attribute and change that with PHP tag, and then we're going to use the same thing. We're going to use image variable. Let's copy that. And in here, we're going to use echo statement and then image, and make sure to end it with semicolon. What else do we need? All right, so the second or the third table data, we can just do the same thing. I'll just copy this title, paste it in here, and change the title with status or tags, I guess. Save that, and then for the button, we can just leave it as is. All right, so I guess we're good now. Let's go back to our app, hit refresh. And there we go. Now we have the following table. As you can see, we have the product images, we have the title, we have the status, which is empty. I don't know why it's empty. Maybe we don't have the tags yet. We have the action, which is a button. If you want to delete the product, you can do it right here. But I'm not going to cover that in this video. For the status, I guess we can just open our products page. And let's take a look at each product, the data we can use for each product. All right, so it's either we use, all right, so we have a status in here. Maybe we can use that. Let's go back to our VS Code. And instead of tags, we can just use status. Hit save. Let's go back to our app, hit refresh, and let's just wait for it to be reloaded. And there you go. Now we have status active, 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 and we also have the title. All right, so let's give it a bit of a design. Let's give it a design. So let's open our uptown.css. I guess we can use tags, select tags. And we have in here yellow, padding tags with icons, and removable tags, and so on. Yeah, we can just use this tag. I want the green. So let's copy this. Let's go back to VS Code and just paste it inside of table data. And instead of green, let's just move the PHP tag, echo statement, value, status, replace the green like so. All right, so let's save this again. Let's go back to our app and hit refresh. And this time we should have a really nice looking table. There you go. Now it looks much better. All right, so next we're going to do is just to use the footers. So let's go back to Uptown CSS, select footer, and we can just copy this article, help, and span, and then the paragraph. We can just copy this, go back to VS Code, select index.php, and just paste the code inside the footer tag, like so. Now we can just move this or indent this properly, change the text to learn more about WeeklyHow or this app. At D instead of D, we can just change this to WeeklyHow help center. All right, so let's just save that. Doesn't really matter what text we input in there. Hit refresh. All right, so we have a problem in here. The footer is actually not placed in the right section. I don't know what's the problem with that. Let's go back to our VS Code. We have the section and the closest section. We have the footer and the closed footer. Let me just indent this. I don't know what's the problem. Let's open our header. We have in here the header, product table. All right, so we didn't actually close the table. All right, my bad. All right, so let's just close the table like so. Hit save. Let's open our app, hit refresh. This time it should be fixed. And there you go. Now we don't have the footer anymore inside of our cart. Instead, it's at the bottom. And there you go. That looks much better. Awesome. All right, so next what we're going to do just to limit the items being listed, I want to just list 4, just an example. So in here in our products, we can just use the array and just type in here limit and just give it a value of, say for example, 4. Save that. Let's go back to our app, hit refresh. And there you go. Now we have the following product list and we also have our footer being displayed. Awesome. Now it looks much better. But if you don't want your hello example development store to be placed inside of another card, you can just move that outside of the card. Let's actually try that. Let's go back to our VS Code and I'm going to select the header.php or index.php actually. So instead of putting that inside of the card section, we can just move that outside of the section and create another article tab or article tag. That's what I meant to say. And then we can just move the header.php inside of that article. Or actually, we're going to create another div. And the class should be, actually, let's open our Uptown CSS. And let's select the grid structure. And we're going to use the div class column 12. All right, so div and the class is column and then 12. And then paste the PHP tag like so. And save that. Actually, we can just get rid of this card section as well as the HR or horizontal line. Hit save. Let's go back to our app. Hit refresh. All right, so it didn't actually work. Let's try and do something else. I'm going to copy the section and then paste it inside of the main tag. And then let's just delete the div card or the second article. Get rid of that. And then we have the first section. And for the second section, we can just get rid of the first article. So basically, we're just separating it by section. So section, the header, and then the second section is for the product table. All right, so let's just save this. Let's open our app again, hit refresh. And there you go. Now we have moved our header to a separate section. If you want to give this a padding or like a margin at top, margin bottom or padding, you can just do that inside of the index and just create another style tag in here and just select the body tag and then give it a padding of, say for example, the tab or padding top, and give it a padding top of, say for example, 30 pixels. Save that and let's go back to our app, hit refresh, and that should give the header a bit of a margin or padding. There you go, that looks much better. And there you have it. We have successfully designed our Shopify app without installing or using Polaris. Now, what I like about this framework is that you don't need to import like what you do in React, like you import the components before you can use them. Here, if you just use CSS or like Uptown CSS, you can just simply use the tags and it's automatically designed for you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want more Shopify app development related videos. Again, thank you so much for watching and I will see you again in the next video.